It's the holiday season, so you know what that means. There's Santas everywhere you go. So instead of giving you the 10 best, we thought we'd give you the worst. That guy's alright, actually. Hey, I'm Nervous Nick for Screw Attack's Top 10 Worst Santas.
Number 10.
The Pumpkin King of Halloween, Jack Skellington, is the most tragic of our Kringles. Jack lives in the world of Halloween Town, preparing for the annual haunting of our own world. But for Jack, something was missing. He wanted something more. So he used his power and influence to take over Christmas and impersonate Santa Claus. But all Jack knows is horror, so despite his intention of bringing happiness to children, his gifts were, well, terrifying. Then, thanks to his selfishness, the real Santa ends up getting kidnapped by the boogeyman. Fortunately, Jack realizes the error of his ways, saves Santa, and his desire to make things right helps him understand the true meaning of Christmas. But still, just imagine running downstairs on Christmas morning only to open up a present that contains a severed head. Ugh.
Number 9.
When you think of the opposite of Santa, one word pops into your mind: Grinch. Okay, well, some people might think of Scrooge, but this entry is all about the Grinch. After all, the dictionary does define Grinch as a person who is mean-spirited and unfriendly. A beloved character by Dr. Seuss, the Grinch spent his days on a solitary mountain overlooking the whimsical town of Whoville. He hated everything that was happy and cheerful, so obviously Christmas was the worst day of the year for the Greenie Meanie. A few musical numbers and a true meaning of Christmas epiphany later, the Grinch learned his lesson and blah 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 blah. But the fact that he even tried to steal a holiday is just ridiculous. Plus, when you think about it, when all was said and done, nobody received or even lost anything because of his actions. Grinch, buddy, you're Santa. You've got one job.
Number 8.
These days, it's harder than ever to keep the secret of Santa's non-existence. I'm so sorry if I just spoiled that for you. But really, I mean, how do you keep the magic alive when there's Google? Or, a whole day where people dress up in Christmassy costumes and go outside to ruin childhoods. SantaCon is basically an excuse to get as drunk as possible while wearing a beard that gets grosser as the day goes on. As if it weren't already hard enough to explain why there are hundreds of Santas outside when there's only one Santa and he's supposed to be up north getting presents wrapped, these Santas are generally sloppy drunk from pub crawls and accompanied by scantily clad elves. Come on, guys, think of the children!
Number 7.
Of all the crossovers on this list, the most egregious is the episode of Sonic Christmas Blast. The premise for this entire episode is that Sally Acorn bought Sonic a bunch of stuff for Christmas even though they agreed not to, so Sonic needs to buy her stuff. He and Tails end up at the mall where they find out all the toys are gone and Santa was replaced by Robotnik according to some random kid. Shenanigans ensue until Sonic tracks down the real Santa, who notices the gift from Sally on Sonic's finger is in fact the Ring of Velocity, an ancient ring capable of granting the wearer unbelievable speeds provided they pass 3 strange tests. So Sonic climbs a mountain and snowboards back down and then rides a bike to the North Pole. Also, he'll be fast enough to get the toys back from Robotnik and save Christmas. He does such a great job with all this that the actual Santa decides to retire and Sonic is tasked with being Santa Claus forever. And since this was the final episode of the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, I guess he remains Santa Claus to this day? So that's why the Santa that did nothing and passed on his responsibility to Sonic is number 7.
Number 6.
Finding out that Santa isn't real is hard on everyone. Everybody deals with it in their own way. Some get angry, some get sad, some are so emotionally crushed that when they eventually grow up and come across the defeated body of the all-powerful Ultron, they reprogram him to create a real Santa. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. Well, SANTRON was all ready to spread joy to the world, but he just had one thing to take care of first: killing the Avengers. So he tracked them down to Doctor Strange's place where they just so happened to be having a holiday party. He scans them, and guess what? They're all naughty by his count. Maybe it had something to do with them all trying to kiss Jessica Drew. Anyway, a battle ensues until Spider-Man tricks Santron into eating an EMP device hidden inside of a cookie. But who on earth builds a Santa from an Ultron body?
Number 5.
People complain a lot about losing the true meaning of Christmas, blaming commercialism for distracting everyone from cherishing time with their families, and forgetting that giving is better than receiving. And no one is worse than the big red guy himself, starring in pretty much every Coca-Cola Christmas ad since Christmas was invented. It's pretty heartwarming. He gives a Coke to a kid leaves a Coke for him instead of cookies and milk, until you remember that soda's terrible for you and there's nothing Christmassy about Coke at all. Oh, look at him hand a bottle to that polar bear. Santa even opened it for him because polar bears don't have opposable thumbs. Too bad it'll probably melt his insides like the ice caps. Yeah, way to sell out, Santa.
Number 4.
Nothing says Santa like swearing, alcoholism, and unprotected hooker sex. Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton's character of Willie T. Spokes from the movie Bad Santa is one of the most disgusting representations of Santa in fiction. Drunk 99% of the time, Willie is solely responsible for ruining the image of Santa to countless children. He's abusive, vulgar, and he even takes advantage of one poor kid by staying at his house, eating his food, and sleeping with a ho-ho-ho in his parents' bed. I mean, the movie's literally called Bad Santa. But more than that, Willie is one of the worst Santas.
Number 3.
You guys all know that line from the song, he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake? Well, imagine jolly old Saint Nick was a 4-ton robot watching you from the planet Neptune inside his death fortress. That is Robot Santa Claus from Futurama. Originally, he was built to actually do the job of Santa, sort the naughty and nice, pass out gifts, so on and so forth. But due to a programming error, his standards got set way too high and he views everyone as naughty. And being a giant robot, he doles out a lot more than coal. He arms himself to the teeth with a Christmas-themed arsenal, and that naughty list quickly becomes a hit list. So every Christmas Eve in the land of Futurama, homes are battened down, booby traps are set, all in the hopes of avoiding this festive death machine.
Number 2.
The oldest known version of a bad Santa has to be the Viennese satyr Krampus. The legend goes that St. Nicholas visits the nice children of the world, but the naughty kids, they have to watch out for the half-goat, half-demon Krampus. Now, I know you're all like, oh har har, was Krampus just gonna give us bad kids coal? Well, sure, but some legends also had him packing a bundle of switches or even a whip for that naughty behind of yours. And pagan versions of Krampus also had a sack, but instead of presents, it was used for kidnapping. Once in the bag, you'd either be drowned, eaten, or worst of all, dragged to hell. Yeah, this is pretty extreme for a Christmas story to tell to your kids, but I would like to remind you that Christmas is all about giving. Krampus just gives nightmares, that's all.
It's number 1.
This number 1 is really special for a couple of reasons. Of all the people in the DC universe to take up the mantle of Santa, I think one of the least expected would be the biker bounty hunter, Lobo. After all, nothing screams Christmas like a guy whose name apparently means one who devours your entrails and thoroughly enjoys it. I read that on the internet, so it must be true. Anyway, this paramilitary Christmas special has Lobo accepting a contract from the Easter Bunny to kill Santa. For a big bad bounty hunter like Lobo, the life of that jolly old man is just another notch on his belt. So he busts into Santa's workshop and murders all of the elves! With the easy part out of the way, Lobo enters Santa's throne room where Chris Crusher Kringle is depicted as a menacing slave owner, complete with razor shivs and a gorilla sidekick. They duel, to the death of course, and Lobo decapitates the northern dictator in a bloody mess. You'd think that would be the end of this terrifying story, but oh no! Lobo then finds the naughty and nice list, which he uses to pinpoint, well, everyone in the world. That's when he fills up Santa's sleigh with hydrogen bombs and flies across the world, bringing death to the sleeping masses. Santa might be a monster, but Lobo Santa is the absolute worst.
Hey, thank you so much for watching Top 10 Worst Santas. If you like this Top 10, make sure to check out our playlist where you can see other episodes. And subscribe for more, because we do a Top 10 video every single week. And make sure to have a safe and happy holiday season. I love you all, and we'll see you next time.